Okay, sweet. Are you using the video for the post?
Cool. So the video only gets posted generally to patrons, and
Okay.
then the audio is kind of only what goes out to like all the podcast distributors, like you know, I guess Spotify is a podcast distributor now, but also like whatever the other ones are, Apple
Okay.
Podcasts and
I can be
stuff
cool
like.
with patrons seeing the side of the studio that is insanely messy right now.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, thanks for coming back, dude. It's we're 100 episodes deep on the podcast now, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's so exciting because I remember you telling me about it right when you started it, and I
Yeah,
was on there at first, but
yeah, you're episode 1, man.
I was, I don't know. I didn't, not that I didn't have faith in you or anything like that, but I just know how projects go. And I'm like, man, seeing you continue this on and having all these great guests, it's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, dude, your YouTube channel, like if you numbered those videos,
Oh, I'm at over 500, I think now. Yeah.
dude, that's so crazy. How much like time and effort goes into each video these days?
You know what? The one that I uploaded actually today was really quick. It just went up like a little bit before this call started, and I started it yesterday afternoon. Had nothing recorded for it until 1 or 2 p.m. yesterday, and just had thought about the idea for a little while. But that's a rare case. I guess a lot of them take between that and like 40 hours might be the top end for one video, but it really depends. And then, I was doing that space story for a while where, the VFX where that wasn't my workload, but it was a ton.
Yeah, well, so I didn't follow that story, unfortunately. What was the deal with that? The only way I found out about this, well, I watched some of the videos where you were like in a spaceship or something like that, but also I saw the flashbulb posting a few times, and he kept posting things like people keep asking me like, is Andrew really in space and stuff, and he's like, why am I the authority on like why who knows whether
Yeah,
yeah.
it was like this long-term project of mine where I just wanted to experiment with the format, both like what YouTube is, but also just like what social media could be, and make this really ridiculous series that would start off with me telling everybody that I'm going to space, and somehow that we managed to make believable for more people than it should have been. But I think we've all learned about how like, misinformation works online, and so it was kind of a bit of trolling, a bit of art, a bit of commentary on how we perform on social media, what's real and what's not, and yada yada. And then we just wanted to make this thing kind of like descend into absurdity over the course of about 15 to 20 videos, where I'm still like uploading my regular content, but then I'm flying to another planet, I'm meeting an alien, I'm trying to like dodge asteroids. So there's like story woven into my normal content, and then some of the music ends up driving some of the plot points. So it's just like kind of a space opera musical / still YouTube tutorials mixed in with like, there's a music video, there's there's just like full on drama with the story that we're telling. And then I guess I won't say too much more about it if people are interested in watching it and seeing how things unfold and the kind of like twists and turns it took. But then also on social media for the whole time, I was pretending that I was tweeting and stuff from space, which like no one was meant to believe for past the first couple of days, but people did believe it for like a couple of weeks in some cases, or maybe even longer than that for some people who
They
don't
literally
have
thought that you had a studio in space.
Yeah, it was really interesting to watch that reaction. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the gist of it. And then in tandem with that, I was releasing music that was a part of the videos throughout the whole series.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, how did you do all that VFX stuff? Did you just was it all green screened, or was it like done some
There was some
differently?
practical stuff. There was like some stuff on an alien planet, which is just the desert in California that we actually flew out to shoot in.
Oh wow.
So me and my brother-in-law really did like almost everything on this with a few of our friends for some special things. But like he's a crazy VFX genius, so he was handling all of that side of things, making me look like I'm floating. We did some of that on green, and then we also built a set in my studio. So behind me, we're actually still kind of recovering from the set because like my drums are still down. I've got like a few odd pieces lying around still, but we built like this wood frame that took up most of this room with like styrofoam walls, and that's
Wow.
where I did my videos for a while. But we also pre-filmed a lot of it so that it wouldn't be I don't know,
So
we
that
were just trying to make it
so
roll
that you
out
didn't have to
one
have
time
a
anyway.
studio full of styrofoam for like a year.
Yeah, it was actually about a year that it was up,
Jeez.
which is insane. But I mean, I spent 3 months of that in LA, and we weren't working on the space thing the whole time. But yeah, it was just a fun thing that I wanted to try on my channel, and it's some of the most interesting videos I think I've done, both like conceptually and visually, and even musically.
Man, it's so insane what people's minds will do, like, if you just feed them the right information. Um, I was listening to this podcast last night. It was, a podcast called Behind the Bastards,
Uh-huh.
and it was about this guy named Charles Dederick. Um, and he basically was an alcoholic, and then he decided he wanted to, I don't know if he decided he wanted to, like, fix his alcoholism or whatever, but he ended up at Alcoholics Anonymous. And then he was like, "Oh, I kind of like, see more potential here for a, bigger thing." And then he started this thing called Synanon, which I guess was, kind of like Sins Anonymous or whatever. So it's basically like Alcoholics Anonymous, but for, alcoholics and drug addicts and whatnot. Um, and essentially he he turned it into like a little cult, and then after a while, uh, so one of the biggest groups of people to get addicted to things is lawyers. So he ended up with like a
Oh,
huge like group of lawyers in his cult, and then he ended up with like a bunch of other people in his cult, and uh started buying up like properties everywhere. And every time cities would come after him and like try and attack him for like zoning laws and stuff, he's like, you know, fleet of lawyers would just go after the city. So like all cities were like scared to come after him and all of this kind of shit. And he ended up like building his own military. Um, he had like his own little Marine Corps, and
that's wild. Well, so
um,
and what was he telling these people to get them like that committed to him?
it was a bunch of weird shit, man. He had like this thing called the game, where he would just like put everyone in a room and just like yell at them and like call them names and basically like emotionally abuse them a ton and like all this crazy shit. He was like a horrible person, but yeah, it's just like a very extreme example of that. Like where where if you like tell someone some crazy information, they'll just believe you. And at the end of that story basically is that the whole cult fell apart because they put a rattlesnake with its rattle cut off inside a lawyer's mailbox. Oh, sorry, a reporter's mailbox, and the
Oh,
reporter like went to put their hand in the mailbox and got bitten by a rattlesnake and then had to go to hospital for 11 days. But prior to that, they had also beaten this lawyer up with a crowbar to the point where he was in a
jeez.
coma for a week as well. So yeah, this it was like a fucking crazy story, man. It was I highly suggest listening to it. It's called Beyond the Bastards, Synanon Part 1 and 2.
Man, that's wild. I mean, yeah, there's I guess we're just like seeing on so many levels how people at a certain place in their lives or who, are looking for answers or something, like it can just go wrong so quickly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's nuts. I guess we saw a ton of that, through the elections and all of that crap last year as well. Um,
Yeah.
how was COVID for you, by the way? You're pretty set up for that kind of thing, right? Because I mean, like most of your job
Yeah.
is just done from your house.
Yeah. Fortunately, not much changed other than I traveled less, which was fine for me. I had been wanting to cut back on that anyway. And then, well, we had a baby. She's almost eight
Oh,
months old.
congratulations,
So
man.
Yeah, so I mean that kind of worked out to our benefit as well, just in terms of like not having to deal with as many people and not feeling like we're missing out on anything because nothing
Right.
really was going on for so long. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely, not easy a lot of the times, just like watching the news or seeing how the numbers are doing in our city. And yeah, I had some like kind of listless months for sure. It was hard to be productive or anything. And yeah, I was, kind of glued to my phone or whatever. But that overall, it was totally fine for us. And yeah, I just saw a thing saying that Toronto is the second safest city in the world for post COVID.
Oh wow. What's the
Apparently,
safest?
I think it was oh shoot, I'm gonna mix up. There was like a top five, and I think Tokyo was in there, and
Let me see. Let's
I
Google this. Top 5
think maybe
safest
somewhere
COVID.
in Sweden or something. And I think it was probably not looking at small towns or anything, but
All right. The world's top 5 safest cities post COVID on republicworld.com. Is this the one you read?
not sure.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
again,
it's
who knows where the information came from? I didn't fact check.
yeah, it's Copenhagen, Toronto, Singapore, Sydney, and Tokyo.
uh,
Says Toronto came in second in the overall safety rating with high points in infrastructure and environmental security. According to BBC, residents praise an inclusive culture that prioritizes targeted communication across communities, particularly when it comes to vaccine knowledge and adoption. The city's long history of multiculturalism also makes residents feel comfortable. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, Toronto is cool, man. I like Toronto a lot. It's kind of where like the most of Canada's population is, right?
it's a good amount. I mean, not most, but it's the biggest city by far. Actually, I discovered it's actually the third biggest city in all of North America. So it's bigger population wise than every American city except for New York and LA.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but
That's
I think
crazy.
it's like
Yes,
4 million people, and there's 30 million Canadians. But
yeah,
it's
the
a big
2016
place.
census says 2.7 million, but I'm sure it's way more than
Oh,
that
I've
now.
probably seen the one that includes all of the sprawl or whatever.
Right, right. Yeah, it's always tough to get proper numbers on that because, like, for instance, I lived in like Denver for a long time, right? And it always felt like there was way more than like what the internet said was there. I think on the internet they say there's something like a less than a million people there even. Yeah, it's Denver
Oh,
population. This 2012 oh, that's a long ass time ago. There's definitely been a lot more people existing since then. uh the 2020 census says there's only 700,000 people in Denver, which is
wow.
crazy to me. It feels like a
Yeah.
really poppin' city.
Well, and that's something that I feel so often with American cities. Like so many of them are so iconic. And I guess there's just so many, like the American population is huge and there's such a rich history to so many different places that, you could think of a place like Pittsburgh or whatever and think like, oh, that's, got to be a giant place. Like there's so much has come out of there and, everybody knows the name and whatever, but it's not, it's probably smaller than Denver or about the same size, I would guess.
Yeah, totally. Let's see. Pittsburgh, 2020 census, 300,000 people.
Yeah, yeah. And you think, I don't know,
There's
all
a
these
bunch of
places to me feel like they're, they have a big place in history or whatever.
Yeah, totally. There's I feel like a bunch of cities that kind of have like good brand awareness because of the NBA,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Cleveland and stuff like that. Uh
yeah. Well, and then you think of like, so I have some in-laws who live in a city called Shenzhen in China. And that city went from being like barely anything, 30 years ago to now having millions of people. I want to say like 8 million people or something ridiculous, maybe even more,
Jesus.
um, in that short period of time because they just really developed it. And you just don't hear about that place too often, maybe just being on our side of the world or whatever it is, but it's also, not necessarily like culturally popping or anything like that. It's kind of like I think tech manufacturing type of area. So yeah, I don't know. The amount of people in a place really has so little to do with what we end up thinking about it, or how popular it becomes in public consciousness.
Yeah, totally. I'm just looking at some lists now. I'm looking at the list of the United States cities by population, and the top one is New York by far, which is 8.8 million. And then Los Angeles, there's a huge fucking drop off. It goes down to 3.8 million, so it's like not even half. And then Chicago, which is 2.7, then Houston, surprisingly, I didn't realize that, which is 2.3, and then Phoenix, which is also weird, which is 1.6, and then
Oh,
Philly, which is 1.6, and then fucking San Antonio, which is 1.4, and
yeah. Like
then
there's there's no correlation between like the cultural and the, you know, bigness. I don't know, the relevance and the
yeah, I
population
mean,
size.
going down this list, it's like shit, like, cities that I would think feel a lot more populated. Like, for instance, I live in San Francisco, and that's rated 17 on this list at like 870,000.
Right. Yeah.
But
Not even a million in San Fran. That's wild.
yeah, it's crazy. But looking at the same list, but for China, is nuts. Shanghai is 26 million, or almost 27 actually, and then
So
Beijing
like
is 20.
3.5 New Yorks or something.
Something like that. Which is, yeah, it's incredible, man. Have you ever been to India?
I did go once with a handful of friends. We wanted to like see it, as well as we did some volunteering with like Mother Teresa's Sisters of Charity. That was like a very interesting experience.
Wait, you did volunteer work in India?
Yeah, yeah. So we did a almost month-long trip where it was like a half and half. Like we wanted to travel, but we also the guy who planned it was like really into uh, he works for NGOs and stuff, and he's the kind of guy who like lives in the cheapest possible place in like, I don't know, some developing country for a year, and then moves to another one and only owns like two shirts, one fork and one spoon, and like, I don't know, he's really really interesting guy that I ended up in touch with through some other friends. And then yeah, he wanted to do this trip. It sounded interesting to a handful of us in his circle, and we all went as a group to volunteer, and then to, you know, see the Taj Mahal, and, you know, do a little bit of other sightseeing. But yeah, it's a completely different place from anywhere I've been. Um, just the feeling when you're there, the food is amazing. The um, yeah, I mean that temple, the Taj Mahal, was incredible. And then yeah, we're volunteering with this Sisters of Charity is what Mother Teresa started, and they have a whole bunch of different, I don't even know what you call them, I guess like houses, these sort of like institutions where they just tend to homeless and sick and orphaned people. Um, yeah, a really really interesting place that I think more than anywhere else I've been has such a distinct like the divide between classes is so palpable there. I think
In
that,
India?
yeah, that was the
Mm.
thing I really felt, where you just like, you know, there's McDonald's made of marble, and there's like places where, you know, we went one night to some fancy bar where it was like $30 US for a shot. And then at the same time, there's like abject poverty, you know, all over the place, and huge piles of garbage by the side of the road that a cow is eating out of. It's like you're flipping back and forth between opulence and just like destitution.
Yeah, totally. I noticed the same thing as well, for sure. It's like, yeah, one side of the road there's like eunuchs and amputees and, yeah, crazy poverty and stuff like that. And the other side of the road there's like Blue Frog Mumbai, like big electronic music club. It's like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah. Were
Crazy.
you playing out
Oh,
there?
yeah, I've done a few tours there now. Um, but I found it like really interesting the way that they treat cows there. Like they all think they treat them as holy, right? So if there's a cow just in the middle of the road, like eating grass out of like a crack or something in the road, all the cars will just stop. It'll just create like a traffic jam. And until the
Yeah,
cow moves, they won't move. They'll just be like, "There's nothing we can do, man. It's a cow." It's like
it's wild.
we just have to fucking leave it there. I wonder if that comes from mushrooms. Like if cows, shitting the mushrooms came out of the shit, and then they ate them, and they were like, holy shit, this animal is holy.
I wonder. Yo, I have a house plant right now that just sprouted a giant yellow mushroom in like 2 days. It went from not being there to being like a few inches tall and like has a pretty large cap.
Wow.
Yeah, I did some reading about what it probably is, and I think it's poisonous. So I don't know if I like really want to.
Probably donate it.
I really want to keep it growing because it's gonna. I don't know. It's just gonna grow so much. It's gonna change so much. I've done a little bit of like mushroom cultivation before, which is fun. But and it's bright yellow, which is really interesting. But also like it's gonna spore around, and like our kid is gonna be, you know, in a few months able to just like walk around and pluck that stuff up. So it'll have to go soon.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to have a kid walking around getting high on poisonous mushrooms. So I remember what age do you think it's fine to start taking mushrooms then?
I don't know. I guess I first did it. I was probably 15, and yeah, I don't. It's so unpredictable what might happen on a mushroom trip. I don't know if I would say anyone should do it at that age, but yeah. I mean, in your 20s, when your body can handle all kinds of shit, and you know that's kind of a time for experimenting, hopefully safely.
Yeah, like after your brain has sort of developed and your emotions and your coping mechanisms and all that kind of crap have
For sure.
developed.
Yeah.
So I remember last time we chatted, you were saying that your doing videos was kind of like we drew a parallel there between like the stress of you doing videos versus the stress of me doing shows, basically. And I just had one of these fucking dumb experiences again this weekend. I went to St. Louis for a show, and then I flew there on Southwest because Southwest was the only company doing direct flights. And then basically Southwest, how do I best say this? Essentially, like Southwest is a Texan airline, and a lot of their pilots are ex-military, right?
Oh,
They're
okay.
people who like, you know, leave the military and then they just start flying commercial airlines. So they're like, you know, pretty conservative right wing pilots, I think, for a lot of the part. At least I assume so. This is all my assumption, by the way. Like, don't take this. This is just my theory. And basically, what I think happened is Southwest was like, all right, we're going to employ a vaccine mandate where by X date you have to be vaccinated, and if you're not, we're like not going to let you work for Southwest anymore. And what I think happened is a bunch of these right-wing conservative pilots who are ex-military Texan people decided to take a mass sick out, where like a bunch of pilots just all decided to take a sick day at once. So they had to cancel like 2,000 flights in one day, which is insane.
Whoa.
So I got affected by that, and I was stuck in.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be home on Sunday afternoon. I didn't get home until last night at like 12:30.
Oh my God. Were you just like, you must have left the airport in that time?
I didn't even go to the airport. Like I looked at my phone and it was like
Oh,
your
right.
flight.
Okay.
It was just like your flight has been straight up canceled. And I was like, all right, what do I do? And they're like rebook. And I was like, all right. So I looked on the website and they were like, there's nothing available until Tuesday night. I was like, all right. So I'm just stuck in St. Louis for 3 days or something, or 2 days. Which is why I had to reschedule this podcast. But yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, I guess my overarching question there is do you still feel that way about making videos? Do you still feel like it's this kind of stressful thing, or do you think you've found more of like a routine or a balance there?
Yeah, it feels better and better. I think I'm always figuring out how to approach it better and optimize things. I'm also like not on a schedule with any of my stuff right now. Trying to
Because you're doing
get two
2 a
videos
week,
out a
right?
month, but yeah, at a certain point I was doing 2 a week, like really, really, you know, that
That's
was a hard
just
and fast rule for me,
insane.
which was the year that I grew by like 1 million subscribers. And so that was, you know, a great thing to do for a period of time, but not sustainable and not something I'm in a hurry to go back to. But yeah, so now it definitely feels much more manageable just for that, just like not being as focused on constant growth or what's going to be the biggest video or anything like that, but just making what's interesting for me. And then yeah, trying to figure out ways to make the actual creation of the content a little easier. Like I was talking with a buddy of mine, Rob Scallon, who does a guitar channel, and it was so funny. You know, we were kind of catching up on our process after not really discussing it too much in recent years, and he couldn't even tell me what camera his stuff is shot on. He's got like someone filming him for everything now, and they just follow him with a camera, and he does whatever he does. And you know, that's completely different from most of my stuff that is mostly self-shot. And so it was interesting seeing how much he's been able to offload um, his editing, his I mean, for the music too, he will like do, I guess for, you know, it depends on what genre of music you're working with, but he plays guitar and bass. He might throw down a little bit of a drum programming idea, but for the most part, he hands it all off to somebody else to do that part to mix. Um, and then yeah, his videos are unscripted. He basically sets up a situation. He's like, I'm going to try to build a guitar with a master luthier or something like that.
Mm.
Or I'm going to learn how to build drums and build a kit in one day. So
What's this guy's name?
Rob Scallon, Scallon. So we've been good friends for a long time, and we just met through YouTube. But he's found this approach that works so well for him, where he basically just like thinks of ideas, makes music, and then gets in front of the camera. But he's hired away the rest of the tasks. So I'm thinking about, you know, if I could experiment with the format that I have, maybe have Phil, my brother-in-law, who did those VFX, and he kind of half edits my videos and I do the other half. But yeah, thinking about maybe having him just behind the camera and doing something where instead of it being me working out these different angles and I don't know, I like the dynamic kind of way that my videos flow right now, but I wonder if there could be something more manageable where, you know, I'm doing whatever I'm doing, but he can deal with all the video stuff.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I guess it all comes down to like a cost benefit analysis, right? It's like you could hand off every part of the process to somebody else, but just in reality, that just costs money, right? Essentially.
Yeah, for sure. And then yeah, a matter of also, you know, how long does it take to train someone to get to the point that you're really able to trust them and just hand them everything. And yeah, just like the use of your own time, I guess. And um to a certain degree, once you hand something off, you become the manager of it instead of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
worker, and that's its own other thing.
Right. And then you have to sort of weigh up your ideals as to like what it is that you actually enjoy and what you want out of your career and stuff, right? Because like
Yeah.
I feel like primarily what I want to do in my career is just write beats on my computer. Like that's the
Yeah,
fun part. And the rest of it is kind of just bullshit I do to earn myself more time in the studio to write beats on my computer.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
but I feel like more and more I just keep unlocking these secret levels of being hungover in airports and um, not so much hungover anymore. I'm more sober these days, but yeah,
Are the
these days.
shows your main revenue stream these days?
No, definitely my website is my main revenue
Oh,
stream,
sweet.
and it's been that way for a while. Shows, I actually look at them as like a way to I actually look at shows more as like a business card in a weird way. It's like just a way to show the people that I'm teaching that I actually can walk the walk, so to speak, you know?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of these educators online who are like saying, do this, do that, but it's like they're not playing big shows or anything. So it's like, you're
Yeah.
making club music, but you're not playing it in a club. Like, why is that? um,
Fair. Yeah.
so I like to do shows to sort of, I actually also find them fun. The hour that I'm on stage playing the show is great. That's a fun time. It's the 24 hours surrounding it that I don't like,
Yeah.
the 6 to 12 hours getting there, then the 6 to 12 hours before the show hanging out in the hotel, and then the extra however many hours it takes to get home, and then the flight cancellations and eating the shitty food at the airports and like all that crap. That's all the stuff I don't like. But the hour on stage is great. The other part I don't like is just planning the sets, because I feel like
Mm.
now I'm playing big enough shows that like I can't really afford to just like wing it and fuck up. And you know, people are like, for instance, the show I played on the weekend, people are paying like $60 a ticket to be there. And it's like, it wasn't just me, it was like a big lineup. So like, the $60 was worth it. It was like me and Resonant Language, Killsmith, Tony and Sound, like a bunch of people. Yeti was there also, and Brick Squash and Duffrey, and like there was a bunch of people. But yeah, I just feel like when people are paying that much and you know, going to all that effort to come out, you know, people are driving from like other cities to come and stuff at this point.
Yeah, you want to
You
give them
kind
something
of,
really polished.
exactly, yeah, you want to give them like just the ideal set that you think you can make. um and that kind of takes like a week of preparation usually beforehand. So it's like the set, when I take a show, people kind of look at it and I think just go like, cool, that's like, they just like see the 1 hour chunk on stage and think that's all it is. But it's like a week of prep beforehand, and then like a big ass amount of travel. And then it's like the 1 hour on stage is like this kind of the smallest part of it all.
Yeah. Are you changing things up quite a bit from show to show?
So what I do is I pretty much pre-plan my sets almost to a T, but then I've pre-planned so many sets now that I can jump between sets, if
Oh,
that
that's
makes
cool.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
smart.
it's like, let's say I have like a 50 track set list, but I've built like 50 set lists. So it's
Mhm.
like I can play like, you know, 3 tracks from one set list, and then I can jump to a set list from 2 years from then and like play a few tracks from that one. And then I can jump back to a thing up like a chunk of tracks I played at like a festival in California like a few years ago. And then I can jump to like another festival I played in New York like 3 years ago and play some tracks from there. And, you know, then I can like jump to
That's
my new
sick.
album set list
That's
and
like
play some.
a matrix of going
Exactly. Yeah.
through time.
Yeah, exactly. So at first it felt cheap, but now because I've like built up such a library, it's like I can kind of just jump around a lot and do stuff. But
Yeah, it's like gotten past that tipping point where now it's become dynamic rather than just being like, oh, I got a couple things I can rehash.
yeah, exactly.
That's super smart. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Is there any parallels that you can draw out of that for like YouTubing?
Oh man, I don't know. I think that there's, so little of what I do can be reused. I guess, you have a callback to something every now and again.
Well, you have that little
But
like when you do the "Hey, I'm Andrew Huang," and then you have that little star that goes
oh yeah,
at
the
the edge of
star
it.
is permanently in my default video editing template. But I do a new
Awesome.
clap every time. It's funny,
Wait,
people
you
ask me
record a
about.
new clap?
Yeah, well, because I'm in a different environment sometimes,
Oh.
or I don't have a set hand that I do it with. And I think if I'm recording in stereo, that even, can be funny if it's on the
Oh
wrong side.
yeah. If you do it like this side, do you like pan it over there?
I don't, but if the mic is stereo, it occasionally, feels a little bit directional. But yeah, people ask me about that because they're like, why wouldn't you use the same clap over and over? And actually it's not that hard to like just clap before a take and then move the audio over in the editing timeline. But
Gotcha.
it has been interesting when I don't know. I did a video like in a aircraft hangar, for instance, one time, and actually, I don't think I even did the intro in there. But anyway, when I've been in different environments and the clap, if I used a canned clap, and if that didn't feel right, I guess it would be the kind of thing that people would notice since they have commented already on how well the clap always seems to fit. And I think some of them think I'm putting a reverb on it and like tweaking it to match it
To match
when
like the
it's just
room
like
space and stuff.
clapping a
You're
new
like,
time.
clearly you've run an impulse response through that room you're filming in and
Yeah.
have applied that to the clap because it sounds so.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
yeah,
yeah, I guess
I
like I have
was.
some formats that I can return to, which is nice. 4 producers, 1 sample.
Mm,
That is the thing that's great, where it's not like I necessarily have to come up with a brand new concept for every video. Yeah,
right. Yeah, the 4 producers 1 sample thing is so sick. I think that's like the funnest ones to watch. It's
yeah,
always
I
just
love it,
really
and
fun.
I think I'm doing it to a degree that I'm still enjoying it. There was a part of me at one time where I was like, oh, these videos are doing so well, and they kind of hit so many things that I would like to check off in terms of making a video, like reach a lot of people. I can showcase all different kinds of artists, um, and then sampling is such a big part of what I'm excited about in music. But then there's so much effort to put together that I'm finding my balance is that I'd rather do a few of them every now and then, rather than have it be like every month there's a new one, because I know getting even close to that amount of them would be, detrimental to my happiness in terms of what they take to produce.
Right. Have you ever considered doing like a game of telephone as a video?
Yeah, that's come up with a few different people. I don't know exactly how it would work, but I think it would be super interesting. Maybe we should give it a shot.
I'd be super down to be a part of that if you're going to do it. Yeah, I think the way it would have to work is like there'd have to be like some standardization rules, like no third-party plugins or something like that, and obviously make sure to collect all on save before sending the project to the next person. Everyone involved would have to have like the same version of Ableton 11 Suite. Maybe don't use Max devices or something, or like I don't know, like there'd have to be something, or like if you use third-party stuff, at least freeze it.
It's the kind of thing that I feel like, and I feel like this with a lot of YouTube stuff, but it would be so good if it was just like we had a little camp or something, and there were 5 or 8 creators together, and maybe we even have like a whole bank of computers in a circle, and we just like do your thing for 20 minutes, and then everybody move one station to the left, and then you first of all get way more pieces out of it rather than just the one project being passed around and around. But also, actually executing it would come together so much quicker. And
what would also be interesting is if that circle of people was also related to like the circle of fifths, and then you could like take the relative people's projects and like give them to each other to like combine them and stuff.
Make everything the same tempo, and then you basically just have a super group generating a whole bunch of material really quick.
Oh, that'd be really smart. If only I had a ton of money to throw at this problem. That's kind of like every time I have an idea, I'm like, man, if only I had Jeff Bezos money. I could just make things like this happen. Like realistically, Jeff Bezos, if he wanted to, could just fashion up the biggest electronic music project of all time.
I kind of wonder about like what these billionaires must do, with their free time, because I feel like obviously, they're all starting space programs, which is one
exactly
kind of interesting big thing you can do with a lot of money. But then, I just feel like not enough of them are fucking around and getting weird with it, unless they only do that, in private. But I feel like we saw a little bit of Elon Musk like made a trance track or something, and that he tweeted it, and I feel like that was it. I don't know if it was for anything. But they could just do so much interesting stuff.
Don't Doubt Your Vibe by Elon Musk.
Right.
Damn, that's holy shit, it's got 3.68 million listens on SoundCloud.
Wow.
That's pretty nuts. I'm gonna have to follow this SoundCloud account. The top comment is by an account called Poop, and it says, "I am doubting your vibe this very second."
Nice.
Dude, that's some top tier internet comment stuff. Do you read your comments?
I read a good amount of the YouTube ones, but I guess because that's where I get the most direct feedback on my actual work. But there are no comments on Spotify, and then for social media, it's really just like a bunch of people either reaching out to me with something that they are interested in asking me, or something that they want from me, or it's just people replying to whatever the most recent thing I posted was, which often is I don't know. It's something that I decided I didn't need to see that much of. So I've been off social media a lot more in the last few months, actually from I think end of July to mid-September. I didn't look at anything. And I have someone who helps with like posting stuff for me. We come up with a lot of the posts that I want to put up together, and I check everything, and then she just like gets it up for me. And I'm so glad she deals with cropping photos, and when Twitter goes down or whatever, she remembers to do it later that day, all that kind of stuff. But I've been feeling way better just not looking at social media. Like even though I go back occasionally now and I still do check on a reply or something, I don't actually scroll the feed anymore.
Mm.
If I ever have liked a post of yours, it's because you were the first thing that I saw when I opened the app, and then I'm just, I'm going to my DMs or
Nice.
my replies. But yeah, not engaging with that has been really nice. And then just in general, reducing how much of the actual comments I'm reading has been good, because it's a lot of stuff I don't need. It's either like too much ego boosting, or it's too much like just people wanting to shit on you, and you don't really need either.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's either way, it's the ego though, right? It's like
Yeah.
either the I'm shit or I'm the shit. Like it's the
Yeah.
same thing, just in like both opposite directions. uh
Yeah. So I mean, it's saving me a lot of time these days. And
yeah.
yeah, I think the mental clarity, feels like it's a little better.
Yeah, agreed, man. I put that like newsfeed eradicator thing on all my shit a while back, like probably a few years back at this point. And yeah, I've definitely been happier since. Though I do sometimes, if I'm bored, like in like traveling or something like that, I'll like look into someone's career a lot. Like
Hmm.
I'll be like, oh, this artist, like I'm really interested in them and I really think what they're doing is interesting and cool. And I'll just start looking at all the shit they're doing, and then I'll end up really sad because I'm like, damn, they're doing so well. Uh, and then I have to just remind myself that every time I do that, that will just inherently make me sad, because I'm
Right.
essentially just
Yeah.
looking at like somebody's finished shit, like, and they're not like posting up all of their like half finished stuff, they're posting up just the best side of everything, and it just
Right.
gives you like a very biased look at someone's life. But yeah, I think social media is definitely not good for the brain. It's for sure. It's turns you it makes people catty, like makes
For
people.
sure. Yeah, I've definitely noticed that happening with myself, and like who might decide to reply to or whatever, or even just, yeah, things that I would post that I don't know. It, like you don't need to jump in and comment and throw your opinion out about every little thing that's happening. And I definitely feel much better not keeping up with any of that. But
Mm,
it's interesting, on the ego tip. I've been thinking so much in the past couple of years about how much of all of this stuff that we do, has to do with ego. Whether it's, I mean, there's the whole nature of social media is performative, and like you were saying, everybody's showing their best side. But if I'm deciding what I want to work on and what I want to post, like how much of it is like I'm trying to prove myself, or I'm trying to impress some, vision of a person out there. I don't know. Like so much of what I do is just for strangers on the internet, but there's some kind of attachment that you can develop to um, wanting to be perceived a certain way, or it's a very muddled sort of thing that I've been trying to disentangle myself from a bit. And I think that's, getting away from social media a bit has been a part of that. And then I'm also, just making music that I know I'm not going to share, stuff that's just for me. And I remember as a kid, I would hear about artists who like just made music for themselves, and then they had their like published work, and you're like, I was always so puzzled. I was like, well, if you're working on all this stuff, like I'm a big fan, obviously, like all of your audience would be so interested to hear it. And now I'm kind of getting it a bit, I'm understanding from the other
yeah,
side. Well,
it's
like
not
I
about you.
need, yeah, I need some stuff that's just for me. And that's
Yeah, yeah.
when I do something that I'm ready to share, there's a whole other process that goes into that. And there's, I have to think a little bit businessy about it, all that kind of stuff.
Totally. Yeah, it's hard to just make music for yourself, because then yeah, the business side diminishes. But it's also tough, I think, to make music just for other people, because then the artistic and creative side diminishes. So you got to find a balance there for sure. Speaking of Twitter though, what I've been doing lately on the podcast is just asking people on Twitter for questions,
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
and Discord. So I have a bunch of Twitter and Discord questions for you,
Sounds good.
which we can go through. Let's see. Let's go through the Twitter ones first. All right, at at C Crow Music says, will we get a BTS on all the space travel? What's a BTS? I guess behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking about how to structure that video, but I definitely want to put out a BTS hopefully in November because there's just so much I want to talk about. I mean, making the space stuff was very involved, and I think people will have a lot of fun seeing the lengths we went to get some shots. And then there's the music, there's the whole like mixed reality and fiction aspect of it. So yeah, hoping to get that together in about 6 weeks maybe.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at it. Most of the questions are about space.
Oh wow, that's interesting because I mean the reaction was so mixed throughout the series, and there were periods where people were kind of excited that I was doing it, then periods where they were very confused or like angry that it wasn't the same as my normal content. Um, by the end of it, I think I had a lot of people on board. Like the comments on the very final episode were super positive. But yeah, I guess it was something like different and big enough that people have strong reactions.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder why people have such strong reactions to it. Do you think it's because like they thought like you were on some Jeff Bezos financial level and that you were also on this like playing field of like I'm one of these rich people who's going to go to space things, and then when they realized you actually weren't and it was VFX, they were like, damn it, I've been had. And then they were like, how dare you, and like this is violating.
I think there are a few people like that for sure. I mean, I don't know if anybody was thinking about me being like super rich or something like that to be able to go to space. And in the story, it's like I have this opportunity or whatever. But I think for the people who maybe wholeheartedly believed it, my hope was that if I did convince some people, once they realized that they'd been had, they would come around because the story and the production was just so good.
Right.
And just the concept of doing this and having you kind of almost fall into being told a story would be really interesting. But then, of course, there's some people where it's just like, you shouldn't have lied to me. I'm super mad about that. Or just like, I want the old shit you were making, and why aren't you making that? But yeah, strong reactions all around.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. At Garden Sound, he says, where do you get your sick wardrobe?
Oh, yeah, kind of all over the place. I'm wearing this cool sweater right now that's from Detroit Underground, which is like a cool
Oh yeah, that's the label.
small label. And
Yeah,
then
that's they used to release like a bunch of Richard Devine and stuff like that, right?
yeah, they have some cool stuff, very left field. Um, I don't know. I go to some of the like random big shops that I feel like many of us go to, the H&Ms and Zara's, not so much lately. But then also I've been advertised things on Facebook occasionally, and that is like a 50-50 chance of working out or not. It'll either be like sick, this is just like what they had in the picture, or it's like I haven't had any disasters, but I've had stuff where I'm like, oh, this material is incredibly cheap and I know it's going to fall apart or whatever. Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of like every once in a while looking around online for interesting stuff.
Nice.
Etsy sometimes, yeah, some like random people making not one off, but they're hand making runs of stuff on their own.
Yeah, true. I kind of take the Steve Jobs approach. I just like buy a bunch of black shirts to take the choice out,
Yeah,
and it just saves me a bunch of time and effort.
I love that. Actually, so my wife just started doing that. I mean, it's not a daily thing for her, but she got a whole bunch of black turtlenecks, and this certain cut of them is working super well on her. And she, yeah, has kind of like a uniform for most days that she can go to. I've thought about that for myself too, and then I don't know. I feel like I have too much fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like dressing happy and snazzy and shit makes you feel happy and snazzy.
Yeah, no, that's true. It does have an effect.
Definitely, yeah, it definitely affects your emotion. Um, all right. At DJ Earth Ninja says, what's the longest time you spent tweaking a single snare sound?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't think I've gone too nuts with that. um,
I've
maybe an hour or
definitely,
something. Not nothing wild.
yeah, an hour's it's still a significant amount of time to spend on a single snare. I feel like every now and then I'll do like snare day, you know, and just make a bunch of new
Mm.
snares, or rather than make a bunch of new snares, make a bunch of new racks to make new snares with.
Oh, cool. Is
And
that what you did
generally,
for like Spectra and some of your other packs?
yeah, kind of. But I think since then I've gotten a lot better at making drums as well. So I feel like I should probably make another drum pack at some point, because yeah, my drums just keep getting better, it seems like. Or at least maybe my taste in drums just keeps changing. But yeah,
Cool.
every now and then there'll be a snare day or a kick day or something.
And so are
uh,
you making these custom racks that are, um, is it like stock stuff or do you have a mix of third-party plugins to
yeah, it's a
shape
mix of
things?
stuff, and then there's like macro controls on it and stuff. So I'll be like, turn up the, make it more noisy, make it more clappy, add
Oh, pretty
reverb to it.
cool.
Like, I'll try and macro a bunch of shit, so like I can just throw these racks on stuff and just like, get a setting going really quickly. Then if I want to
Yeah,
dive into all the plugins, I can, and like fuck with it a lot more. But
that's
usually
cool.
I'll like get a good snare going, and then I'll usually render it, because then you can like, get the zero crossings like really lined up.
Yeah.
And another thing that I've been doing lately that I learned from a friend of mine, Eli Derp, who's an amazing producer, is I'll cut my drums. Like I used to cut it like right on the zero crossing, like so it starts at like zero and then goes like up and down.
Uh-huh.
And instead you cut it like 90 degrees in, so it starts at the top, so you
Oh,
intentionally get that click out of it, and it just adds this nice clicky transient. And I'm like, that's just like a rule that you shouldn't do that, but it actually works really well for kicks. And
that's so interesting.
because with a kick you want that click on the start, right? Like you want that
Yeah.
snap. So yeah, that's something I've been doing a lot
I
lately.
just I just got a new well, new to me Eurorack module, the Rabbit Elephant Natural Gate. I don't know if you've heard of this thing.
The rabbit elephant natural gate, let
Yeah,
me Google
Rabbit
this.
Elephant.
Oh, rabbit elephant.
Yeah, but so this thing is like they do very limited runs and people, resell them for twice the price on the used market.
$405.
Yeah. But I found a guy locally who was selling it for just the price he paid for it. And so I jumped on that right away. And an interesting thing I noticed about, I mean, it is a very nice sounding envelope. And I guess they programmed it in such a way that it responds in a natural way. So like if you hit it with higher sounding material, the envelope's slightly shortened. And then if you are hitting it repeatedly very quickly, the envelope's also shortened, just like if you're using an acoustic drum,
Yeah.
you're giving stuff less time to ring, or the way that you're even approaching hitting it, you'll, like if you think about hitting a drum really, really fast with your hand and your consistency, or just the fact that if you speed up, you'll probably start hitting harder, all that kind of stuff they kind of
Yeah,
built
yeah.
into its response.
Hmm.
Anyway, all that to say, when I first plugged it in and started using it, I was like, oh, these are really snappy, awesome sounding envelopes. But if I were to just analyze what was different about that versus running the same sound through another envelope, it kind of felt like a lot of the times what I liked about it was just that there was a big loud click right off the top.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just
yeah.
gave that sensation of a really snappy sound. Yeah, and I kind of wondered, if it had just been that, would we get the
Yeah.
same excitement of it?
It's funny, man. It's so weird that people have these very disparate ideas about music production, right? They're like, oh man, I love that snap on that drum, but they're like, you can't cut a zero crossing there.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like, I don't know. These young kids, like this kid that taught me this, Eli Derp, he's 18. And these
Oh, sweet.
kids coming through these days are just like, they don't give a shit. They'll cut anything wherever
Yeah,
they'll
I
do
guess
whatever.
we're kind of heading more and more towards just if it sounds good, it is good. And I
Exactly.
think like, the rule book on so many things is getting thrown out. It's
Absolutely.
pretty
Yeah. I
cool.
mean, I came from a very traditional audio engineering background, because I went to like a fucking basically rock audio engineering school, um, which was good. I mean, like I have a pretty well-rounded understanding of like all the technical crap, but like, yeah, definitely for electronic music, it doesn't always translate. All right, back to Twitter. At Dirt Green Music says, as Miss America, what would you do for global awareness of electronic music and why?
Whoa, yeah, if I won Miss America, that would be a day. I mean,
Oh,
just
he's
like,
saying you are Miss America.
oh, I'm picturing like I've just been announced what I'm
Or
gonna pull
actually,
back the curtain. There's gonna be a giant Eurorack system, and I'm just gonna, have a noisy jam. And
maybe
all these
he's
people who've never heard of modular synths before are gonna get a taste.
maybe he's saying he's Miss America. He's like, as Miss America, like,
Oh, yeah, I have a question that's pertinent
yeah,
to my role as Miss America. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, who knows? All right. At Made by Bako says or asks, pancakes or waffles and why?
Big fan of waffles. I like that you can get them crispier, and I'm a big fan of grids. And so I like that there's this sense of order to them. Like that, you can get the syrup to fill a certain grid. You could even, make some pixel art with the syrup in the squares. A fluffy pancake is amazing, but overall, you just lean a little bit towards waffle. Yeah.
But what about when you're trying to butter a waffle? Don't you get pissed off that all the butter goes into one of the grids?
That's true. Yeah, no, it's a downside for sure. I
You
guess I
know what? I
just
think you
deal with it in
need
my mouth. It all mixes up.
yeah, just like eat a part of waffle, eat a part of butter, and then like drink a tiny bit of syrup and then hope for the best.
You know what? It's so funny. I do my lunches like that sometimes. I'm like, I could spend the time putting together this sandwich, but I'm just having like a day where I'm not even putting in that much effort, and I will take a bite of spinach and a bit of tomato and a bit of sliced turkey and then a piece of bread and at different times, and just feel like, yeah, I'm getting the same nutritional value here.
Yeah, I mean, if it's all just going in the end, then why not? Yeah, I gotta say, I think I'm a little more leaning towards pancakes, but I don't know why that is. I think it's just because of the butter thing. Maybe if
Yeah.
I had like sprayable butter and I could like, evenly like graffiti sort of coat the
Yeah.
top of my waffle, then
For me too, part of it is that waffles are a little more involved to make. So it's like a little more special.
it's
Mm.
also true. Yeah, you can kind of knock up a pancake pretty quickly. That might actually be playing into my answer of why I like pancakes though, because I'm like, I could just make a pancake, like
Yeah.
there is the act of having to make the waffle to eat the waffle. So that kind of sucks. All
Right.
right.
Yeah. So I choose waffle if I don't have to be the one making it.
Okay. But if you have to be the one making
In a
it,
restaurant, it's waffle. Yeah. At home, it's pancakes.
gotcha. All right. We got to the bottom of that one. Good. Um, at Highog1995 says, what's the best live artist you've seen? Then the best live show you've seen, and then your favorite collaboration you've ever done, and then your favorite Mr. Bill tune. It's a lot of
Oh my
questions.
gosh. That's a lot. Um, favorite live artist and favorite live show?
Yeah, I
Which
guess it's
type of
kind of the
thing?
same thing, really, isn't it? Or maybe it's different. I mean, yeah, you can answer that
Yeah,
however
it's
you want.
been so long since I've seen live music. I'm like completely blanking.
I'd
Um,
have to say my favorite live artist might be Beardy Man.
oh, he's incredible. Yeah. And I am so in awe of the system that he's built to,
It's crazy.
yeah, just be able to do what he can do on the fly. Yeah, well, I saw Jacob Collier recently. That was a very,
Yeah, he's nuts.
not recently, but like as recently as possible, I guess, pre-pandemic. And yeah, he was, I don't know how to say it really, but it was like the most musical show I've ever been to, in that it touched on so many different vibes, and also his uh, showmanship was really fun. Like at one point, I don't know if he does this every night, but he like threw something across the stage to perfectly hit a crash cymbal at the final moment of a song, like that kind of stuff. And then he gets the audience
Wow.
involved in singing this big choral thing. Like it's very joyous.
Yeah, I like that he basically turns everybody in the audience into like a level 10 jazz musician somehow. It's
Yeah.
like who can, get that idea across to people so effectively, and so, like he has such a well-rounded understanding of music, I think, that he's just able to be like, all this shit that I know, look how simple it actually is, and then like gives it to you to do.
Yeah, that's true. He's so great at showing how he's doing things too, and his like track breakdowns and everything. That show is also special because he brought out Daniel Caesar. So I guess there was like this cool arc to the show where it just kept on building in interesting and unexpected ways. Um, yeah, I can't pick favorites, man. It's hard to pick a favorite collab or anything. I mean, working with you was awesome that time, and we still have some tracks laying around that would be fun to do
We
some
do,
stuff.
yeah. There's
But
a good 4/4 one, like a housey one there that I want to finish at some point.
yeah, yeah. And then, man, I'm so bad with any song names, but my favorite stuff of yours is always the like glitchiest.
Nice.
That's always my taste.
Nice. All right. XTL Dubs says or asks, sorry, I keep saying says, what's your favorite synth VST of all time?
Oh man, begin with the favorites. You know, Phase Plant has been my go-to.
Dude, that shit is so crazy.
Yeah, I just love that you can keep adding modulators and effects
Yeah.
and everything in it.
Yeah, they asked me to do a preset pack recently, and I
Mhm.
had some patches that just had like 50 or 60 flanges racked up in there, and
Yeah.
just all macroed to a single knob, so you can just turn it. It just goes and just like
Oh,
pulls the
that's
whole sound
awesome.
apart and just gets all fucked up. And they were like, "Yeah, we can't ship this preset." And I was like, "Why not?" And they're like, "It just won't open probably on most people's computers."
Oh man.
And I was like, "All right."
That's
Damn.
a very like Mr. Bill thing to have
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, faceplant is nuts. I would agree with that answer. If I had to be stuck with one synth VST, I think that's a
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good one
It's
to be
also I
stuck with.
can't think of too many that let you do audio rate modulation. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
in the digital world, yeah, not there isn't a lot, is there? All right, at official Ahi. Oh, Ahi, I like this guy. He's been on the podcast. He just asks. It's not even a. There's no question mark. It just says life work balance.
um, it's feeling good right now. Yeah, I think having a kid changes everything. And I was so afraid, you know, when we were thinking about becoming parents, and then when Essa got pregnant, I was so afraid that there was going to be some kind of competition between like me wanting to do music and me wanting to be there for the baby. Um, and then in like a wonderful way, it was just like, oh, there's no question. I love this kid, and I just you know I think so much of how I thought of myself was like music is my number one thing, and like I'm obsessed with it, and I every spare moment needs to go to it. So having the kid, I was a little bit worried that I was going to be like neglectful or something. But there's just been this shift where I'm like, no, if I were to spend less time with my kid so I could make more music, that would be the greater sacrifice. Like I don't want to do that. So we've been able to find this great balance. It also, you know, we're in a really lucky situation where we have a super easy baby who, you know, is just so happy almost all the time and is sleeping really well and all that. So it's not like my nights are wrecking me and I'm not able to be productive or whatever. But then at the same time, like I'm already set up working at home. I can go back and forth easily. Um, and so, yeah, I guess long story short, spending as much time as I can doing both things, and it feels like um, it feels good. It's not one of those things where it's like you're always looking at the other side. I think before having the kid, I had this really I don't know. I had this affliction, I'll call it, where it was like if I'm working, I feel bad because I don't take enough time off, or like other people are doing cool things and I'm missing out. But if I'm not working, I feel guilty that I'm not working. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the very like millennial or modern mindset.
Dude, I
So
have the exact same thing. It's fucked.
yeah, and that's I feel like I'm only just realizing it as I'm answering this now. That feels like it's disappeared for me since the baby because it's just like when I'm in music, I'm loving it and I get to do it. And when I'm with the kid, it's amazing and you know she's wonderful. And wherever I am, I kind of am doing something I really love. So
Right.
yeah,
It's like
even
no
though
matter what you're doing, if you're taking time to look after the child or taking time to do your work, you kind of just feel like you have purpose all the time.
yeah, exactly. And also like with how my career is structured, I never have to feel like I'm missing out on baby stuff. I'm not like gonna have to go on a month-long tour and then that happens to be when she says her first word or something like that. Like
Yeah.
that just won't happen. So yeah, lucky in that way.
Damn, man. Yeah, that's fucking awesome, dude. I'm still torn on whether or not to do the kid thing. I feel like I'd be a terrible parent. I don't know. I feel like you have to be like, I don't know, more. I just feel like I don't have my shit together enough. Feels like
Oh,
you have to.
interesting. Yeah. I don't know. It's so I thought it would be more cut and dry with just like people who want to have kids will be great at it. People who don't want to have kids shouldn't. But I feel like from the people I've met who have kids of all ages, it's just kind of like a crapshoot with how they manage to kind of integrate the life changes that happen. Also with who your kid ends up being and what they're like to deal with, I guess. But yeah,
Mm.
there's some friends I have who've really surprised me with like how much they stepped it up once they became parents, and then there are other people I know who like they wanted a baby for their entire life, and then they got there and they're like, this is a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you don't really get to choose what kind of kid comes out, right?
Yeah.
They're a little more complicated than a pet or something, where in terms of personality.
Oh yeah. It's so much fun though, and we're having a great time.
Well, fuck, man, that's great to hear. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast again.
Yeah, no, thank you
It's
so much for
always
inviting
awesome
me.
to chat to you.
It's a great chat.
I'm glad we got to catch up again. It's been cool hearing about all this stuff. And yeah, we should definitely rehash some of those projects. I know that there's if I just search my computer right now quickly for Andrew Huang, there is three, I want to say, or at least one. There's definitely at least one.
Yeah,
um
no, I remember there was we released Droppy, but there was an electro-y feeling one, and there was a
yeah.
weird, like I guess IDM-y kind of one as well. I'll have a look on my computer as well. But yeah, it would be fun to
Yeah,
develop
I think
either
they're
of
in
those.
Dropbox, right? Probably. I think we had a shared Dropbox, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to pull those out again and finish them at some point for sure. Because yeah, from memory, they were really cool.
Yeah, that'd be super dope. And then yeah, it'd be great if whenever it's possible, if you want to come back and stay here and work on some other new stuff in person too. You're
Oh, I'd
always
love to.
welcome.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I think yeah, I'll end up around that part of the world again at some point for sure. And when I do, I'll hit you up definitely. We should go to Dead Mouse's house again.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Dude, that was crazy.
That was such
Um,
a wild night.
Yeah, that was just strange that I just got off the plane and like texted him. Like I totally forgot I even had his number until I got off the plane, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I think I have Joel's number." And I looked and I was like, "Oh shit, I do have it." And I like texted him, and he was just like instantly responded. He was like, "Yeah, come
Yeah,
over."
and free that evening, and
Yeah,
yeah, just fun to hang out. It was
super weird.
cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd love to do all that again. All right, man. Well, yeah, I appreciate it a ton, and yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, sweet. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll talk soon.
All right.